Good morning, everyone. Are you ready for another Open the Book story? We've just a couple more stories before the end of the summer term, and maybe, just maybe, we'll be back with you in person in September. So, I wonder if, like me, you sometimes upset someone and have to say sorry. Sometimes we hurt people on purpose, and sometimes by accident when we don't mean to. Either way, we still need to say sorry. What's the best thing you can hear after you say sorry? Well, I like to hear, "Hey, that's okay." So let's open the book and read The Unforgiving Servant.
One of Jesus' friends, Peter, asked him a question one day.
If somebody hurts me and then says, "I'm really sorry," how many times should I forgive him and say, "Hey, that's okay"?
Before Jesus could answer, however, Peter offered an answer of his own. He thought it would sound good. He thought it would sound big-hearted. He thought it would be the kind of thing Jesus would like to hear.
Should I forgive him 7 times?
It seemed like a lot of times to Peter, but Jesus was not impressed.
No, not 7 times, but 70 times 7 times.
Peter did some quick sums. That was a lot of times, a whole lot of times, more times than Peter had ever forgiven anybody. So Jesus told him a story.
Once there was a king, and one of his servants owed him money. Not a little money, not lots of money, but loads and loads of money, millions and millions and more. One day, the servant was brought before the king, and because he couldn't pay what he owed, the king commanded that the man and his family should be sold as slaves. The servant begged the king,
"Oh, I'm really sorry. Oh, please be patient with me. Oh, just give me another chance, and I promise I will pay you back everything I owe."
The king looked at his servant. He felt sorry for him. And then, much to the servant's surprise, the king smiled and said,
"Hey, that's okay."
Then he called off the debt and set him free. The servant left the palace celebrating, and that's when he ran into another servant, a servant who owed him money. Not loads of money, not a lot of money either. A couple of coins, that's all. Did the first servant remember what the king had done for him? Not for a minute. He grabbed the second servant by the throat and demanded to be paid. So the second servant begged him,
"I'm really sorry. Be patient with me, please. Give me another chance and I will pay back everything I owe."
But instead of saying, "Hey, that's okay," the first servant had the second servant thrown into jail. Word of this got back to the king, and he was so angry that he had the first servant dragged before him again.
When you came to me and said, "I'm really sorry," I cancelled your debt. I said, "Hey, that's okay. So why couldn't you do the same?"
And with that, the king had the servant thrown into jail until he could repay what he owed.
Jesus looked at his friend Peter.
God is like that king. "I'm really sorry." That's what we say to him more times than we can count. And even more times than that, he tells us, "Hey, that's okay." And all he really wants is for us to tell that to each other too.
I'm really sorry. I just didn't understand.
And Jesus just smiled and said,
Hey, that's okay. And that is the end of our story. Well, what a surprise! The man who had been let off millions of pounds couldn't even forgive the man who owed him a few pennies. No wonder the king had him thrown into jail. So I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Now, did you notice the end of the story? Jesus explained that God is like the king. He keeps on forgiving us time after time, and he expects us to do the same. Think about whether you can be that sort of person, the sort of person who says, hey, that's okay.
Now, I'm going to say a prayer, and if you want to make it your prayer, you say Amen at the end after me. Dear God, we all like to be forgiven when we make mistakes. Please help us to make the world a happier place by forgiving others as God forgives us. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. We really hope that you enjoyed today's story from the Lion Storyteller Bible. Next week, we'll be celebrating the end of term with a story called The Big Party. In the meantime, we're going to sing a song which hopefully will be one of those ones which stick in our heads and reminds us to be kind and forgiving to everyone we meet. So, we'll see you next week, but for now, let's sing a little bit of kindness.